Welcome in, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. When I start to make these videos, I always feel like there's a topic I want to discuss, but then I always leave room for like if there was other things I want to talk about, and I always kind of have that worry that I'm not going to have enough stories to talk about. But I don't think that worry will ever really become a reality because just like yesterday, this country is continuing to, well, kind of be crappy from time to time. But there are lots of crappy countries, crappy world we live in. It's about all the happy stuff in between. But with all that being said, I want to talk about mass shootings. So let's talk about the mass shootings that happened this weekend. There were three mass shootings, at least, that were reported here in the United States since Friday till now. And I think that brings the total up somewhere around 350, 300 and something for the year, which is just crazy. We're averaging like one a day, more than one a day, I think. But this the one that is getting the most attention is this one that was a Church of Latter Day Saints in Michigan that was shot at, burned, and the lives of people were lost. As of now, it's reported that at least four people were killed and eight were injured. A man drove a vehicle through the front doors of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter Day Saints, opened fire, and the suspect is Thomas Jacob Sanford, who is 40 years old. He's a veteran. He's a war veteran. I believe he went to Afghanistan. He was 40, yeah, 40 years old. And it's heartbreaking. I mean, whenever things like this happen, it's really sad. But there's something I've noticed that's also really sad about these mass shootings, and that's the way that people talk about them. Because once again, it's another way for people to call for gun control and to call for both sides are wrong and we need to find reform and we need to stop guns. And it's sad that four people were killed in this church yesterday. Four people who didn't need to die and they were just taken away, especially in a place like the church. But here's the reality of the situation, guys. Since yesterday, over 100 people have died from gun violence in this country. Okay. Reports have it that on any given day, 170 people are killed every single day from firearms in this country. So if the only time we talk about it is when there's big spectacles like a church is burning down, then it's never going to find the issue. And this is the part of gun control in the country that really boils my blood, and it really should boil yours as well, is that the news and the people on your Facebook and the people who you know at work and the people who talk about this will only ever talk about it from a standpoint of when the big spectacles happen, right? I see there were four mass shootings yesterday that brought the total over 350. 30 people were killed. No, 170 people die each day from guns. So you only saw four people in the mass shootings, which mass shootings account for less than 1% of all gun violence in this country. The vast majority of gun violence in this country comes from people who put it on themselves, who put the gun on themselves and end their life. 27,000 people killed themselves in 2023 with a gun. Now, we've talked about this before. If they don't have a gun, I do think that the people would have a issue, or wouldn't have a, there would be a vast majority that if they're at the point of wanting to do that, they would find another way of doing it. Um, I don't know how formal I can say what I'm trying to say, but I suspect you understand what I'm saying. There's an average gun death in this country every 11 minutes, which means from the start to the end of this video, someone in this country will have killed themselves. And that's heartbreaking. And I just wish people would maintain the energy they have when a school or when a church or when a place of pure innocence is the victim. I wish they kept the energy when we have so many people in this country who are doing it to themselves. It is not a gun issue, it is a mental health issue. You will not fix one without the other, and you cannot change one and expect the other to fix itself. If you get rid of guns, it will not stop crime. If you help mental health, it will not stop crime. If you get rid of people who are unqualified to have guns, they will still find guns. If you add it legislatively, if that's even the right word, it will not fix it. What you really have to do is we have to change the way that the mental health epidemic in this country has really affected so many people. We have to change the way that we treat people who have mental disorders. We have to change the way we help people who need help in this country. So that's sort of my stance on that. And that's kind of where my stance has been pretty much this whole the whole time I've really experienced or done research into gun control. I mean, I encourage you to look into gun control because as soon as you do, you will start to see these numbers, and it's crazy that the news channels only ever capture the little like imagine like anything where the main driving factor is the 1%, right? The news only captures and they only report on the 1% of all gun deaths in this country, right? Because the number one reasons for gun death in this country are suicides and then homicides and then mass shootings. And so it's like, why do they only ever report the mass shootings? Because then it just makes you think like, although mass shootings do happen a lot, you know what happens a crap ton more? Gun deaths, people doing it to themselves. But I digress. That's really sort of where I'm at with that one. What I did want to talk about next, we can kind of segue this into, you know how last week Donald Trump and RFK sat up there and they said, what did Donald Trump say? It's not bad, only good. Or like he kind of made the slip where he sounded silly. Anyway, he was talking about banning, or not banning, but he was talking about the effects that Tylenol has on pregnant women and babies. And everyone was kind of like, whoa, that's crazy. And like pregnant, crazy women on TikTok were taking Tylenol by the handful. And people were like, that's not my president. The whole shtick that America does. Well, I found this to be relatively funny. The NHS UK, which stands for the National Health Service, so the National Health Service of the United Kingdom, released a report that said marrying your first cousin had benefits, despite the risk of it. And I just thought, like my thought of this, okay, and forgive me for the graphic image I'm about to describe, but my thought of this was, so Donald Trump said don't take Tylenol, and women went to Twitter and TikTok and started taking Tylenol by the handfuls. What if Donald Trump said, don't marry your first cousin? Would we just have like a inbred style of country right now? I mean, that's all I keep thinking of. Donald Trump. I don't know why I was gonna naturally give them a Southern accent. Hey, I'm not judging people in the South, but when you make voices like that, it's the same as posh people having a British accent. But it's just funny that yeah. So maybe we don't always just think we have the worst things in the world over here when we have countries that are advocating for first cousin marriage. Now, I will say that the National Health Service, they did actually remove that post. They were like, you know what? It's not a great post. We probably shouldn't talk about this so much. So they did end up removing it. So there's that, which is kind of a little bit nice to see. I mean, it was just a stupid thing they did. I read the article. The article was really weird. I mean, it talks about having like economic benefits, like you guys have more money, but I really doesn't mention that much on the topic of like birth defects for kids. I mean, to me, it's like, I don't know. I mean, different cultures have different things, but I don't even know how you would do that. I guess what it really did talk about as well is it talked a lot about how in the cultures where they do sort of do that, Like they're like it's an arranged marriage, right? So you're not necessarily thinking like, oh, little Timmy and Becky like fell. Becky is my that's crazy. It's funny that they say, they got married and they're cousins and they fell in love over the summer breaks and the family reunions. They had a moment where they shared a glass of punch. It's like, no, it's like their cultural differences of like the arranged marriage, and they just said, hey, you two are gonna get married. So I don't think it's like, cousins are going on dates and you're courting your cousin. I think it's just something that is just, I don't think it's really smart. So, hey, if we're being told not to take Tylenol, I think we're a little bit better than some spots of the world right now. And speaking of better than some spots of the world right now, brings us to our biggest story of the day, which is that Donald Trump, the president of the United States, and Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israel prime minister, I think he's a prime minister, not a president. Um, they came out yesterday and they said that we have a plan to stop all of the death going on in the country right now. So they released a plan for Gaza to end the war with Gaza, and it's a 20-point plan. There's a lot of it. Um, there's a lot to it, I should say. The biggest ones that they hit on were there's a lot of support around Israel from the surrounding countries, it seems, and B, that they are to release the prisoners. I believe the number, I don't remember. I thought they said the number was 40. I don't remember if that is true or not, but I know they have quite a bit of prisoners over there. And they also said that they would have to release the bodies of the deceased men over there. And then they would have to I don't know if it would be US, I don't think so, but they'd have to let someone come in and destroy their infrastructure. For those of you who don't know, Gaza's really built all their Hamas and everyone's like infrastructure is like underground and it's in like tunnels and stuff. Supposedly, it's what we're being reported. So they have all these like big manufacturers and stuff like that where they make all their weapons and presumably offensive attack powers and stuff. But it's all kind of underground. So part of the deal is that they get to go in and destroy that stuff. So whichever way you lean on the overall side of any war, the humanity side of it is people dying bad, people living good. So that's sort of how I look at it. It is a little interesting because I mean, America has the highest military, power, I think, in the world, and Benjamin Netanyahu right in front of an American flag and an Israeli flag, said on the microphone like, "You accept this deal or we're going to end the war," which is a threat that I don't think he would make next to Trump without it being very real. I think if it's not agreed upon to end this war, the war is going to end relatively quick and it will end with a lot of casualties. So I sort of hope the peace is met and we can sort of go back to just one war at a time. I think. I mean, there's tons of wars going on in this country, and it's hard to keep up with all of them and to understand what's going on with each one. But at the end of the day, we try to understand our best, but we just got to take care of ourselves here on the homeland. But I think that's really all the stories I wanted to talk about. There were a couple more that I thought would be interesting. Um, but I don't necessarily think I could have made them into a little bit longer parts. But I will say, yesterday when we talked about Steven Crowder, he mentioned the whole "Change My Mind" campaign. He actually did just announce this morning that he was going to do that. I couldn't find the live stream before I started recording this, so I don't know if he is doing it live or if he's just doing it and there'll be like a VOD recorded. I can't. At first I thought he would do it live for sure, but then I started thinking like, well, he's probably maybe not. I mean, there's got to be a little precaution. So we'll be reviewing that. We'll talk about that tomorrow for sure, and I'm sure we'll have lots of fun stories to talk about tomorrow. But that's pretty much it for today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed listening. Make sure to open your Bibles and read them today. Get a little bit closer to God. Get a little bit closer to Jesus. Make sure to be nice to each other. Be kind to each other. Forgive and forget each other. Don't forget each other, but forgive and forget And just be good people, guys. That's all we want at the end of the day. Disagreements are fine. Being good is what we hope. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow or some other time.